Talking with the experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we believe that success is a journey, and every journey is easier with help from friends. That's why we bring you top-notch experts and real business heroes eager to share their lessons from the road to success. We delve into new topics each week: effective marketing strategies, innovative problem-solving, financial planning, and team building. We tackle everything you need to know to grow your business and keep it thriving. Whether you dream about launching your first startup or a business veteran looking to shake things up, we've got you covered. With each episode, you'll gain knowledge, boost your confidence, and be inspired to take action. So, grab a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and join our exciting journey. You're not alone in this. We're here, guiding you, cheering for you, and celebrating each milestone. Let's turn your business dreams into reality, starting today. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is all about business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today my guest is Laura Sauter, and Laura is a brand expert. And she's an educator and she's also a speaker. And she's going to be discussing with us today why brands are the reason that people buy from us. Full stop. No questions. And we're going to be talking about why branding is so important and why brand is so important to your business. Welcome, Laura. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
So tell me a little bit about why you got into the field that you're doing now.
Great question. I started off more on the design side of things. I was a graphic designer for magazines in New York City. I transitioned into agencies and then finally brand agencies. So I was primarily on the visual side. Where I ended up was this kind of balance of strategy and design and the thoughtfulness of why the design matters comes through the strategy.
Yeah, so it's an interesting journey. And yeah, a lot of us don't think about brand as much as we should do. So what makes a good brand?
There's a lot of different parts and pieces. I kind of think of a brand like a really well-equipped toolbox that a plumber or electrician would bring. You have your logo. Most people understand what a logo is, but I say, this is my opinion, your brand is not your logo. Your brand is many things. It's your logo, it's your tone of voice, it's your typography, it's your colors, it's the way that you present the logo with other elements in marketing, whether it be print or digital. So that's called a trade dress or a corporate identity look and feel. So all these parts and pieces come together and make the brand.
That's interesting because people think, you've got to have all the business, all the websites and all the other things. And you don't really need to have all of those things, especially when you're starting out. However, you must stay on brand, I guess, to attract that ideal client.
You cut out for just 1 second. Can you just repeat your question?
To stay on brand is important to attract your ideal client.
It is. I really feel that consistency matters greatly. We have guidelines and rules and regulations around how to use all of these different elements in the toolkit that will help create consistency. But at the end of the day, a company's employees are their brand ambassadors. So I have this saying that it's not difficult if we all pull the boat in the same direction, if we all pull in the same direction. So if you think of like a little rowboat who's pulled out to shore and there's a dock and there's an oil rig and there's a couple of people on shore, if everyone's trying to save the rowboat and everyone's trying to do the right thing, it can actually cause chaos. So if we all pull the brand in the right direction, it's not that difficult, and consistency really matters. So for example, whether a company is large or small, someone down the hall might say, oh, we're going to make a poster for Betty's birthday, and they'll design a poster. I'm using a small example, whether it be an annual report, a website, other marketing materials. Different parts of the organization might try to do their best, but if they're not following the guidelines, it could create great chaos.
So I guess the question needs to be asked, what is a brand? I mean, there are so many elements to a brand, and people get confused often about brand and branding.
So I believe that the brand is what the customer thinks it is. It's not always what we think it is. It's what the customer thinks it is and what they subscribe to or what they will promote. That is true brand identity. Our job as brand creators is to try to create a whole comprehensive picture so that it will be adopted and celebrated out in the marketplace. But at the end of the day, it's the receivers of that message that really name the brand. So that loyalty, that appreciation, that promotion, that celebration is the brand. And that's really about what is being brought into the heart and soul of the customer. So, someone might go miles and miles and miles out of their way to get their favorite cookie, or really take the time and energy and resources to hire a specific provider, because they have heard great things. So it's that reputation, it's that promise, it's that consistency that delivers time and time again that creates the brand.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, good customer service is always, people will come back. And that is part of your brand strategy, is to make sure that you have returning clients or customers. Now, how can we make this process seamless?
And so before I begin any project visually, I will do a brand strategy exercise with a client, whether they're large or small. And that's really to determine the competitive landscape. So for example, I use the cookie analogy. There's lots of great chocolate chip cookies out there. There's lots of great cereals out there, but what makes a great cereal for this company? And so we look at all the different cereal manufacturers, all the different cookie manufacturers, and we start to really understand, and subdivide a niche. So it's like, taste, flavor, ingredients, wholesomeness, cost, location, or, availability, all things are considered. But what really creates our brand within the greater landscape of cookie manufacturers or cereal manufacturers are usually a few different key items. And those are really what we start to elevate and bubble up and then create the brand around.
Yeah. So how can we as a business make this process seamless so that, there aren't so many things to tweak and you're not searching for stuff all the time?
Well, I think it helps to kind of stop, drop, and roll. That's an analogy we say when, you smell smoke, you stop, drop, and roll. It's really, it's important to really focus and create and not just run by the seat of your pants and create on the fly. Sometimes it takes a little upfront effort, but at the end of the day, the time and attention pays off. So that way you have, like I said, a few key elements that are consistent, whether it be color, typography, visual imagery, the way it's laid out in space, whether it be digital or physical, social media, etc. Those elements, as well as tone of voice, which is often overlooked, which is kind of like, are you fun? Are you friendly? Are you serious? Are you irreverent? Those tones of voices is what guides the writing of the content. Once you have some of those key things nailed down and you really start to follow the rules, if you will, you're going to have following, you're going to have appreciation from internal staff. You're going to have understanding from the marketplace. And that way your efforts are going to appreciate with time.
Yeah, building a visual consistency is really, really key to, being recognised. I mean, take for instance McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever. They keep the colours, consistent. They keep their typography consistent. So even when people are posting things, they need to be using their brand colours throughout the whole process. Would be my take on keeping a consistent visual brand.
Absolutely. That comes down to mood as well as message. So mood would be the visuals, message would be the content, and tone of voice. So within a brand, there might be different campaigns. There's going to be seasonal campaigns, products. Those campaigns are still going to be within the umbrella of the brand. It's always going to be on message for the master brand. And I'm not really talking so much about the sub brands, but some of the larger companies might have sub brands. The global brand might have one mission statement or one driving message that the baby brands or the sub brands need to embody, even though they themselves will have their own specific messaging and their own specific brand. So it can get a little complicated in the bigger scale, but for smaller businesses, just consistency is important.
Yeah, I make sure that whenever I'm posting something to my socials, that I'm using my brand colours, the purple, the golds, even different shades of purple, but they're still purple. And
yes.
Making sure that that it aligns with everything. So when you look at my Instagram, for instance, it's all purple or gold or quite often there's black and white, obviously, but those colours are always within my social posts.
Right. And I think that something that I've felt, especially since the pandemic, is a company's mission is really also very important. I've kind of coined the term of a conscious brand, and I've been leaning more towards authenticity with my clients. I think people are really looking for reality. They're looking to connect with the companies, whether they be large or small, and really start to understand what drives the company. Is it just the dollars, or is there something greater? Is there some sort of larger mission or give back or social program that is driving the company? And many companies are really pulling back the veil and helping to show their customers what they're truly, the kind of the beat to the drum that they're marching to. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you need to let people know that you are, heart-centered in some way, and that you are wanting to leave a social footprint in society, in the world. And, you can't just push out sales. You need to put take the mask off, I guess, and show behind the scenes about what your business is about.
Right. I think that more companies are showing, who they employ, their workers, the resources that they use in their products, where they're coming from, how they use them. Again, whether it be a restaurant that's on the smaller side, showing the owner of the restaurant going to the fish market, learning about the fishmonger and their journey, learning how they make their rice for their sushi or whatever. I think the behind the scenes is more and more important. It isn't enough, I'll use a cereal example, to just pour your cornflakes into a bowl and eat it. People care about the ingredients. People care about the way they treat their employees, where they're resourcing or, their packaging. It's complicated. And all of that is part of branding.
Yeah, people are becoming more socially conscious, I think. Since the pandemic, I've noticed quite a few, even influencers are becoming, socially aware and sharing those little things that, that matter to their audience, rather than just trying to sell something.
True. And the days back in the 50s or whatever, when our grandparents were buying things, they just picked a cigarette or they picked a cereal, whatever, and they stuck with it for decades. People are loyal, but to a point. And if you aren't consistent or you do something that's socially unawares, people are all over it and they will change the tide quickly. So that's another reason why consistency is very key.
Absolutely. And, creating content that connects with your audience is really important too. So, it's all very well to post how-tos or give advice or do whatever, but you've got to make sure that it actually connects with your audience on a personal level.
It's important. Just pushing things out to push it out is not the way to do things. You want to check in, you want to take stock, pay attention, listen, engage, and truly be authentic. I mean, again, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or a small business or a large corporation, it's really no different. There's mechanisms to engage, to listen, and reflect back and make sure that they're really hearing the needs of the customer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And how can, I guess, brands use their marketing to drive return on investment? How does that work? And, and what's the benefits of it?
Well, there's lots of different ways. I mean, there's the old school, consumer focus groups. That always works. Obviously, traditional marketing methods of just looking at the numbers and checkpoints. But I think that, through social media, through reviews, you're going to see things in live living color, whether it be Yelp reviews. I don't know what mechanisms are in your country, but you'll start to see things in live living color show through. And that's a way for management or owners of companies to either apologize or redirect and make sure that they are connecting. And that ROI is going to come through. You're going to see return on investment. You're going to see sales reflected in how you treat the customer.
Yeah, treating your customers well, is paramount, and also treating your staff well is very important, because if you're not treating them, they're not going to be touting your brand, are they? If you're treating them well, they're not happy working there.
That's true, and there are review sites for employees rather as well. So I think it's called Glassdoor here. I don't know if you have that where you live, but
I have not heard of it. So.
That's where the employees are reviewing the employers, and they'll go into detail about whether you're a shift worker or an executive or middle manager or a regular employee. They'll review the employers and talk about how they were treated, benefits, other things that are tangible, intangible, and that really reflects on a company's brand big time. Again, I feel that the employees are one of the largest assets of a corporation. And if you don't treat your employees well, it doesn't matter how great your cookies taste, you're not going to see great returns on sales.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. I've worked for a number of organizations where I was so unhappy, and they were a great brand, as in as in sales and all those sorts of things, and they were widely known in the marketplace, but to me they didn't treat their staff very well. And so we are the ambassadors, as you said earlier, of that particular company. And if we're always saying negative things, it's going to get around. It only takes, is that one negative comment loses 10 customers.
I would agree with that. And it's funny, as I've reflected back, I've been in business for 30 years. When I first got started, this was the 90s. And, I had a boss that was irritable and quite, semi-abusive. And I went to HR, and HR was like, "Oh yeah, you've been here about 6 months. We were expecting you to come by." That stuff doesn't fly anymore. Things got hidden, things got pushed under the rug, things would get said, or people would get treated a certain way. That doesn't fly anymore. People, they know their worth and they fight for themselves. And companies need to buck up and provide a good working atmosphere.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that having satisfied staff and happy staff is, the one of the key things to promoting a good business.
I agree.
Yeah. Laura, you've got something that you'd like to offer our listeners today?
Yes, I have a Calendly on my website. My website is agencybell.com, 1L. And I work with solo entrepreneurs, and then I also work with I would say medium-sized companies of about 500,000 to 5 million. I have a couple of different packages. I work with companies to kind of get clarity around their brand strategies, what they offer, and also what they want to be when they grow up. So for example, 5 to 10 years out, branding is aspirational. And so oftentimes companies are so close to themselves, they aren't looking out, to create that journey for themselves. And I create that journey with the stakeholders and the business owners. So I do have a Calendly available on my website to set up a discovery call and see how I can support in the journey of 5 to 10 years out.
And that's really important too, is to not only look at the immediate in the present, but look to the future for succession planning and all of those really important things that a lot of business owners don't look at. I mean, the charity that I'm affiliated with at the moment are looking at a succession plan. I had never thought of it before, but now the CEO has been unwell for some time, and he's thinking, well, what's going to happen if I fall off the perch and I'm not here anymore? So it is important for business owners, whether large or small, have a succession plan and can keep that brand alive.
That's so true. I mean, I work with companies in transition. So they're either launching, they're merging, they're diverging, or they're succession planning. So these are kind of the key points in the life or journey of a company. And refresh is important, maybe halfway through along the way. But truly, a brand should live happily for at least 10 years. And they're, again, aspirational. So it's somewhat uncomfortable for the business owner to look at themselves now and say, "Oh, wow, I don't think I could be that." Well, you can't be that today, but you can be that tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura, it's been a pleasure. One final question. If you had something to share with our audience today, whether it's a quote or some bit of wisdom, what would you share?
It's back to that boat analogy. It's not hard if we all pull together in the same direction and really, truly work together. That's what branding's all about.
Yeah, and I think if we did that on a global basis, in a personal context, I think the world would be a much happier place.
Agreed.
Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.